So with Chris gone, he's gone up north to go and work on a fishery. I'm kind of been at a bit of a loss really with what to do with my fishing. I've done a bit of river fishing, quite enjoyed that, caught a few trout, a few gudgeon, but obviously the river's shut now. Most of the big pike around here are river fish as well, so I do like fishing for carp more than any other species, so I've kind of been thinking about what to do. And do you know what, it's been really difficult because there's not a huge amount of places around here where you can, you know, easily go and catch a decent sized fish. And I've had no aim, no direction about where to go in my fishing. So I've decided that I'm going to start going up just in the evenings to a water around here. It's about 4 acres in size. It's quite heavily stocked. It's days only. I'm going to go up sort of 4 or 5 evenings a week in the next month and see if I can have something decent out of there, some sort of £25 plus. And to do that, I'm going to just fish small bags, put a kilo or so of bait in every time I go in up there, fish a peg a week. I mean, like, it gets very busy at the weekends. You get a lot of anglers on there, so you're going to end up with people fishing on where you've been baiting. So there's no point in putting a lot of bait in. I just want to put a bit of bait in so that any fish that do come across it get the taste of my bait and decide that they want to take that bait. So I've made my own boilies already. We've jokingly called them the nuts about bananas. And I've caught a few fish on them. The only times I haven't caught on them is when nobody else on the lake's been catching anyway. So that doesn't really, it's not filled me with confidence. I've used decent quality ingredients, CC Moore, mainline, and I'll put a video up on how I make them on another video. But what I want to do is I want to make a stick mix that I'm just going to keep in a bucket, so it's absorbing all the oils and flavourings. And to do that, there's several ingredients. The first one I've got is fish sauce. It's kind of like, they use it a lot in Chinese cooking. It's very fishy. It's basically fermented anchovies and salt, I think. Fresh anchovies and salts just left to ferment for 18 months apparently. So very fishy. Then we've got the mainline banoffee to give it a bit of a fruity tang. Salt, because carp love salt. We've got a combination of walnut oil. Now I wanted to get hemp oil, but when I went to go and find some, I couldn't find any anywhere, and I didn't really want to pay through the nose for a small pot of it. And I saw the walnut oil, and I thought, well, I like walnuts. It's obviously a good quality oil, so this is good quality anyway because it's from Marks and Spencer's. Ooh. So I decided to use some of this and a little bit of corn oil, because that's just oil from corn. Fish love corn, it's the oil from corn, so, And I've got some method mix, really high fish meal base mix. Fish love fish meal, it's good for them. Smells really nice. And a little packet of mixed size pellets. They're, high oil pellets. So they're probably not going to absorb a huge amount of this oil, so hopefully the ground bait will absorb the bulk of this oil and add to the overall flavour of the mix. And finally, the final ingredient, Guinness. I'm joking about that one, but everybody knows that after a hard day's work, a can of Guinness makes the evening go by a bit easier. Right, so first off, I've got my measuring jug, and I'm going to add, it says 5 millilitres for half a kilo of bait of this banoffee flavouring. So I'm actually going to add roughly, because this isn't the best of measuring jugs, I'm going to add roughly 10 millilitres. probably a little bit more, and it smells lovely. Actually smells like banoffee. It's a bit of a given really. Then I'm going to add the same sort of quantity again, corn oil. Walnut oil. I'm going to add a small amount of walnut oil. And then some fish sauce. It's the final ingredient. This stuff's a pain to get out of the bottle. Right, so I've topped that up to about 50 millilitres of liquid. I'm going to mix it up nice with pork. Right, so now I'm going to keep that. Got my bucket, and add a small amount of these pellets. Basically, I'm just doing this improvising off the cuff. I've not really got a set recipe. I'm just going to do it until I feel that it makes a good, it smells good and it smells right for the job. I'm going to add some of the fish meal mix. I don't want to add a huge amount of that because I want the pellets to be the main source of attraction. And then I'm going to add a bit of salt because we all know that carp loves salt. Everybody tells you it all the time. Always make sure you use a sea salt. Got no chemicals or anything in it. Right, so give it a good mix around. Just going to add the rest of these pellets in, a bit at a time. The majority of it is going to be these pellets, to be totally honest. But I think a bit more method mix won't go amiss. A miss, not a mix. And then I just want to add a small amount of this, a little bit at a time. Mix it in. Didn't think that was going to be enough, but actually it's 50 millilitres is going into this quite nicely. rest of that. Now the good thing about this is none of it's going to go off, so I can just keep it in this bucket, put a lid on it. It's going to absorb that oil. I might add a bit more oil to it in time, a bit more flavouring. But that absolutely honks a banana now. Almost like a solvent-y sort of smell, so hopefully that smell will die off a little bit in the time that it takes me to, you know, while it's, you know, all soaking in. So I'll just get my camera. This isn't good with my hand like this. There's the finished product. Really oily. I mean, like you can see it on my hands here. It's like ideal. Just what you want. You can put that in little PVA bags. You know, PVA stocking. Really make them nice and tight. Just trying to you know, make the most of the time I've got before I go fishing. I'll keep this going now. And every time I go, I'll just, you know, use that along with the boilies that I've already made, and hopefully that will catch me a carp or two. Now I'm going to go and wash my hands and I'll be back. Dip my hand into my fish tank, switch the filter off, and dip my hand into it, and as you can see, it's clouded right up from the oil. All the bits of the ground bait are floating around. The fish are going nuts, just hoovering up the very small particles. They love it. So yeah, if they love it, then hopefully the carp in the pond that I'm going to be fishing love it. Right, so I've washed my hands, and now I'm going to make myself some boosted bottom baits to put in these bags. I mean, if I can get them on the bait and they start, you know, getting a taste for it, I could probably just fish singles with very small bags of this stuff anyway. So I've got a load of odd shaped boilies mostly, to be honest, from the batch of boilies that I've rolled up recently. There's a few that are kind of like dumbbelly shaped as well, and off cuts and everything, so I've just been boiling them all up. I don't need to put them in a throwing stick or anything, so they don't need to be perfectly round. It means I can roll more quickly. I've got an old pop-up pot, it says Northern Specials on it. They were Northern Specials, very good for floater fishing. They will be Kev Specials in a minute. So I've got my little measuring jug again. Now before with the banoffee, I put, what, 10 millilitres in because I was using it for a kilo of mix. Now obviously I'm not going to be using a kilo of mix. There's like, what, 20-30 baits here. So I'm only going to use a very small fraction of that. I'm going to use, again, I'm going to do it by eye, but I wouldn't say it's very much. It's going to be about 3 or 4 millilitres of, you know, neat flavouring. I'm just going to go by eye again, but it's good, you know, this stuff's very fishy, but very nice. So I've got a very small amount of that in. And the walnut oil, I don't think I'm going to bother with the corn oil. I'll put the corn oil in a little bit as well, a little bit of corn oil won't hurt. Just want these to be really kind of like quite potent hook baits, so that the fish will home in on them. So just a tiny drop of walnut oil. And then finally, a little bit of corn oil. So I'll mix that up again, and then it's as simple really. Just putting the bottom baits all over the floor because you're shit and you can't get them in the bucket. So popping them in your pot. And just pouring it over the top. I'm just going to leave that like that for a moment, just so that it can let the last of it dribble into the pot. I think that'll do nicely. Just put the lid on. Give it a good shake. So the bait's now evenly coated, as you can see. I'll just give them a shake as and when. Just keep on putting the bait in, and hopefully they'll absorb. So I'm going to go up and have a little look around tomorrow night. I probably won't fish. I'm just going to have a little bit of a look around so I can get a feel for the water, get an idea of where fish tend to bosh out, etc. in the dark, and then I'm going to go back and fish it properly on Thursday. Thursday's going to be the first time. Now I know where the big fish came out the last 2 times last season, so I'm going to start off in that swim fishing where they said they caught it, which wasn't where you'd expect really, and might work, and if it doesn't then I'll adjust the game plan accordingly. But I'll be keeping an up-to-date vlog. But in the meantime I'm going to chill out, have a can of beer, do the washing up, watch some YouTube, have a nice day, and until the next video, tight lines. God, I love Guinness.